If the thought of cinnamon buns makes you salivate, then meet their even tastier cousin, the cardamom bun. I'm Nicole, this is True Food TV. Stay tuned for an announcement at the end, but first let me show you how to make these. Cardamom buns are special enough for a holiday brunch, but they're also the perfect pick-me-up with your regular afternoon coffee. I've linked the full recipe in the description below, one version using instant yeast, another version using a sourdough starter. I'm always looking for ways to use the sourdough discard from feeding my starter, and this is one of the best for that. I've also linked all the equipment I'm using today, because as you'll soon see, they really do make preparing these buns ridiculously easy, and frankly, they make a big difference in the taste and texture too. Okay, lovely people, let's get started. We're going to mix all our dry ingredients together. I'm adding flour and salt and a little bit of whole wheat, which will give these buns an extra boost of flavor. The whole wheat adds a little nuttiness that really complements the cardamom. Now, one thing I've discovered firsthand this year is the mind-blowing difference in both flavor and nutrition when you grind your own wheat. I'm using this beautiful Como mill. It's handmade in Austria and is sold exclusively in the US by Pleasant Hill Grain. If you've never had the chance to smell freshly milled grain, it is a revelation. It smells grassy and toasty, and it tastes far more flavorful than anything you can buy from a supermarket. So into our flours, we'll add a little bit of sugar and cardamom. We'll be adding more later as part of a buttery filling. Now, to a mixture of warmed milk and water, I add my leaven, which was made with a little bit of my sourdough starter, fed with some water and white flour. And to this, I add the dry ingredients. Now, if you have any kind of mixer with a dough hook, it makes preparing these buns a total breeze. I use the Famag IM8S. It's an Italian-made, professional-grade mixer that's a game changer for home kitchens. If you'll notice, the Famag has a spiral hook, which is super gentle on the dough, so that you don't overwork it by accident. As the spiral arm rotates, the bowl revolves too, bringing the dough to the hook. But why it's especially perfect for these buns, you'll see for yourself in the next step. Right now, I'm going to let this dough rest for 30 minutes while I give a quick shout out to Pleasant Hill Grain. They're a family business out of Nebraska that specializes in premium kitchen equipment. Full disclosure, they provided me with both the Como grain mill and the Famag mixer. But as always, you should know how we're working with our sponsor. Pleasant Hill Grain doesn't get any script approval. They don't tell me what videos I should make. They don't get to see previews, and there's no sponsor feedback. Every step of the video making process is 100% independent. Okay, so this has rested, and now we're going to add some butter. If you're going to knead the butter into the dough by hand, then make sure it's room temperature so that it's pliable. But if you're using a mixer, slightly cooler butter is better to counteract the heat of the mixer. Like I said, the spiral mixer is really quite gentle, and I have to worry less about that than with other mixers. You're going to mix on low at first, and then gradually speed it up until the butter is incorporated, and the dough starts to pull cleanly away from the sides. Look how easy that is. This is what I mean when I say the Famag is a game changer. Now I'm just going to create a little tension in the ball before we leave it to rise for about 2 hours. This dough is a dream to work with. I don't even need to flour my surface for this. While the dough rises, I'm going to make the filling. I'm mixing room temperature butter with cardamom and brown sugar. Have you ever seen what cardamom looks like whole? These are the dried pods of the cardamom plant. And if I crush one, if I'm strong enough, I'll show you the black seeds inside. And these black seeds are what is ground into cardamom powder. Cardamom powder smells a little bit earthy, maybe piney, mentholy. In fact, candy makers use it as their secret ingredient when making minty gum. Historically, cardamom was chewed to combat bad breath. Cardamom is a tropical plant that's in the same family as ginger and turmeric. If you've seen our turmeric How Does It Grow episode, you'll recognize those broad leaves. Only cardamom is not harvested for its roots. The seasoning comes from these little seed pods, which grow behind these pretty orchid-like flowers. Okay, so we're going to roll out our dough. We want to lightly flour the surface. This dough doesn't really stick. It's really nice to work with. Okay, take your dough. And basically what you want to do is roll it into a rectangle that's about 16 inches down the length and 12 inches across the width. But you can kind of pull it a little bit before you get rolling. This dough already smells like cardamom. It's lovely. I'm gonna just kind of pull it a little bit. It's nice and supple. Okay, so now we're going to take our cardamom sugar butter filling and slather it evenly over the entire top of this dough. Okay. So now we're going to fold this, and the way that we do it is we take a short end, fold it to the middle, and then the other short end we're going to fold over the top of the other one, so you have 3 layers in the end. See, this dough doesn't even stick. It's awesome. Okay, you push that down, and then we're gonna roll it out again. I'm hearing little puffing sounds as I push the dough out, and that's good. That means the sourdough is working. Now the fun part. We cut strips and then we get shaping. You want to cut these into 1-inch strips. Now I'm using a pizza cutter, but you can easily use a regular serrated knife. Okay, so now we're going to take each strip and make a knot out of it. Look at the layers. Do you see those layers there? Beautiful. You start twisting, take your 2 fingers, and you wrap it around twice. See? Once, twice, and then, still twisting, you come over the top. The top is like sort of between your 2 fingers. And then you take your 2 fingers out and you tuck that top piece underneath. See? If you're using sourdough starter like me, then I like to proof these buns overnight in the refrigerator and bake them the next morning. I brush them with an egg wash just before baking to give them a nice shine. And about 15 minutes later, your home smells like a Swedish bakery, and you have these gorgeous cardamom buns. Remember, you can get the full recipe by clicking the link in the description below this video, and it's completely free. And if you want to check out either of the machines I used, please click those links below. If you end up purchasing something, a small portion of the sale goes towards supporting this channel. But also, you'll be getting your hands on some truly amazing baking tools. Okay, so here's the announcement. This is just the first in a whole series of sourdough videos I'm working on. Yeah, I know, 2020 was the year of the sourdough, so what am I bringing to the table that hasn't been done before? Well, I'll be harnessing nearly a decade of making sourdough bread. I'm covering all the building blocks for beginners, including making your own starter. For experienced bakers, I'm troubleshooting your issues and introducing new ways to up your game. And we're going to dive deep into understanding different flours as well as the science of sourdough. If you found this video useful or learned something new, please give it the old thumbs up and consider subscribing. But if you didn't find it useful or educational, just hit that thumbs down button twice.